Good day, my special viewers. My name is Dr. Alex British Chinedu Tasie from Ikwereland, Nigeria, West Africa. And by the grace of God, I am a writer, a musician, a filmmaker, a football coach, a historian, and a multidimensional thinker. Generally, people nickname me and dub me a professor in native intelligence. This program is titled The Reality. The Reality is a program that I have designed, created, and enunciated to objectively and scholarly, discuss and treat some fascinating, some interesting issues and topics of life. Some of the issues of life, topics of life that we find fascinating, that we find interesting, that we want to know about, I bring them to public space so that together we can all examine them, analyze them, appraise them, and see how we can make meanings out of them. That is the essence of this program, the reality. And of course, the reality is a knowledge-based program, an academic-based program, an education-based program, an enlightenment-based program. The topic that I have here to talk about is the African traditional way of attaining marriage. The African traditional way of attaining marriage. Generally in Africa, there is an understanding about marriage. Marriage is a rapturous, a delightful, an unassailable, a blissful, an enchanting, a happy relationship between a man and a woman that have agreed to marry themselves to make a family. It is a scintillating, a joyous affair between a man and a woman that desire to come together to make a family. And in Africa, there are reasons why a man desires to marry. There are reasons why a young man, a man will desire to have a wife, to have a family. And the primary reason in Africa, especially in Black Africa, is for procreation. Is to have children through the woman to continue the man's family lineage, to sustain his name on earth, to continue his image, his existence, even when he is not alive, so that people can see him in his children. When they see his children, they say, oh, these children look like so person. That is the major reason why people marry in Africa. There is also the reason of companionship. When a man gets to an old age in life, he will have his wife by his side to attend to his needs, to have children, to help the man in his farm. For economic reason, it's also another reason. A person to encourage a man, a woman, when there is crisis in the life of that person. So there are reasons why a man desires to have a wife, to make a family in Africa. In Africa, when a man reaches the age of marrying, when a man believes that he has reached that age to have a wife, to have a family, to marry, when a man believes that he has reached the mental stage to marry, that he has the economic base, the financial capacity to cater for his family, to marry, to have a family, the first thing he does is to inform, to communicate his intention, his desire to his people, especially his parents, if they are alive. He tells them of his intention, of his desire to have a wife, to have his own family. His parents will invite him to a cool place. And it was done in the past very early in the morning to ask him some vital questions. They will ask him whether he is sure and ready to have his own family, to have a wife, to have his own family. They will ask him if he has reached the mental stage to have a family, if he has the financial capacity to cater for his family. If he answers the questions that are posed to him satisfactorily, it begins from there. The family will ask him, especially his parents in this case, whether he has any girl in mind, whether he has found any woman that he desires, that he wants to marry. If he says yes, that he has found any girl to marry, they will further ask him if he has carried out any background check concerning the girl and also her people. They will ask him if he has done any study, any examination to know about the girl, especially her attitude, her conduct, her character, and also about the records of her family, her family's history. If he says yes, that he has, his people will still implore and appeal to him to give them the opportunity to be actively involved. They will tell him the essence why they are to be involved in order to help him find a suitable wife for him to marry. So what the family people will do, especially his parents, will be to move out, to know about the girl and to know about her people. They will beam their searchlights around the girl and her people to know them better. That was a practice in the olden days. And as I know of it, so many societies in Africa presently still practice this method to attain and to consummate marriage. So the family will assist to make the investigation that is necessary to carry out the examination, interrogation into the life of the girl and her people. They will not allow the young man, their son, to undertake this marriage all alone, because if any mistake comes in, it will still fall back on the family. So they try their best, they do their best to assist the young man have the best of choice. That was a practice. They will carry out an investigation. They will want to know about the girl and also the history about her people. If the young man says there is no one he has in mind to marry, the people will also appeal to him to allow them the opportunity, to find a good wife for him to marry. So what they do in this case is to beam their searchlight around the village, around the community, to know the best of the girls for their wife to marry. If they find anyone, it continues from there. If there's no one too in the community, in the place they live, in their environment that is suitable for their wife to marry, they move outside the shores of the community to find a wife for their son to marry. Even if it means spending a fortune to have a wife for their son to marry, a suitable one for that matter, they will do it. That was a beautiful practice in Africa in the past. And of course, in those days, they didn't go that far to marry. They went to places, where they could trek to. They could easily go to, to ascertain about the character of the girl and her people. They didn't go that far. So the people will be actively involved in helping their son to have a good wife to marry. That was a beautiful practice in Africa in the past. So when they find a girl that is suitable for their son to marry, what they do is to approach the family of the girl to communicate to them the intention of their son. They tell them of the desire of their son to marry their daughter. The family of the girl will also carry out its own investigation into the life of the young man that desires, that intends to come to marry their daughter, and also the family history of the young man involved. If they are satisfied, if the family members of the girl are satisfied with the conduct, with the character, with the family history of the young man who desires to come, to marry their daughter, they give their nod. So what happens is that the parents of the young man will approach the family, appeal to them, to allow them have their daughter in their house. They appeal to the family, to the parents of the girl, to allow them have their daughter to stay with them for a while. And the essence of that visit is to see how they can examine the girl, know about her, how they can carry out a closer background check, a closer examination concerning the attitude of the girl. So when the girl comes, she will have to stay with the people of the young man. And her visit will not be to have a sexual intercourse with the young man. In fact, she will have to relate more with the people of the young man than the young man. She will sleep with the mother of the young man or the sisters of the young man. She will not sleep in the same room with the young man. In those days of yore, pregnancy was avoided before the consummation of marriage. So they avoided it. The visit of the girl will also avail the girl the opportunity to know better the young man that desires to marry her and his people. It will give her the opportunity to know about the parents of the young man, his siblings, and the young man too. When she comes to the house of the young man to have a brief stay with his people, some of the things that she does not know will be taught to her. That was the practice in the olden days. And as I have said, in Africa, there are still some societies that practice this method to attain and consummate marriage. When the girl comes to the family, to the house of the young man that desires, that intends to marry her, she will be told the history of the family. If the family has challenges, if there are constraints, if there are problems, those things will be made known to the girl. And the expectations and prospects of the family will also be made known to the girl. Nothing will be hidden from her. Not tomorrow she will say, you didn't tell me this, you didn't tell me that. They will tell her everything. The family of the young man that she has come to stay with briefly, the parents, the elderly people in the family, the siblings of the young man will all help to frame her mind very well, to prepare her for marriage, to teach her some of the things that she does not know. And lectures about marriage will be taught to her by the elderly people in the young man's family, especially members of the extended family. That was a practice in the olden days. So why the people of the young man are actively involved is to avoid disasters that may come from the young woman into their family. So they have to search very well. They have to investigate. They have to examine everything very well before allowing their son to marry from a particular family. In the olden days in Africa, there were some families that committed one form of taboo or the other, that had, offended the Mother Earth and some other deities in the land, in the community. Some also had done, some other nefarious, dangerous, and wicked, things against humanity and against the Mother Earth. And maybe those families had not placated the land, had not appeased the land. So when you go to such a family to marry their daughter, definitely, obviously, palpably, you will attract their consequences. You will attract fatalities in the house of the young man. So they avoided that. Before their son will marry any woman, they will carry out their interrogation, their investigation very well. That was necessary. So when they are satisfied with the conduct of the young girl that has come to stay with them briefly, and when they are satisfied that they have helped to mold her, to frame her, to shape her very well as it is necessary to do, they will now communicate to the parents of the girl that their daughter will be returned to them. On the day to return the girl to her people, some members of the young man's family, especially the extended member families, will accompany him and his parents to the house of the young girl to return her back to her people. On that day, the parents and the people of the young girl will wait for them, to welcome them, and will also give them the best of their hospitality. So when they get to that place, the two families will sit. The young girl's family, the immediate family, and the extended family members will come. And in the public, they will inquire from the young man and his people if they are satisfied with what they have found out, in their daughter. If they say yes, that they are satisfied, that they are okay with the young girl, then the family of the young girl can give their nod for the marriage to continue. It is there that they will take a date on the day to formalize, consummate the marriage. And before that, there will be a brief period allowed for both parties involved in the marriage, the young man and the young girl, to have a stay together, especially in the open place where people will see them and monitor them. They will go and ask themselves some questions. If they are satisfied that they can come together, they can live together, they will go their separate ways to tell their parents what they have found out about each other. So questions like, are you ready to marry that young man? Are you ready to marry that young woman? Will be asked to the people involved. If they say in the affirmative that they are ready, then everything continues. In my own, society, Ikwereland, there are stages to follow before formalizing the marriage, before ending it, before consummating it. There is a day, to do something for the mother. A day set aside to do something for the people of the girl. Then a day to do something for the youth, the family, extended family people. And the final day is the day to pay the bride price. The day that the bride price will be paid, it is a must that the larger family of the young girl and the larger family of the young man will be present. And that will happen in the house of the girl, in the house of the girl's father. Everybody will come to bear witness, to bear evidence that these two people are coming together. Not tomorrow. This one will say, when I married you, nobody came. That one will say, when I married you, nobody came. In this case, the families of both, parties will unanimously agree to come together. It will now become a celebration that these two people, these persons involved, have agreed to marry themselves, to make a family. So on that day, the bride price will be paid. It can be a token or a fortune according to culture, according to the people involved. The bride price has a significance. The significance of the bride price is to state emphatically that the woman now has become a property of the man. That the man now has bought the woman as his property. That exchange of money or whatever referred to as bride price represents total ownership of the man over the woman. The woman will be transferred. All her rights will be transferred to the man. The man now can curtail. The man now can monitor her in his house, unless the marriage shatters tomorrow and the woman is no more with the man. But if the woman is in the man's house, the woman becomes a total property of the man. And in everything she does, she will always take permission from her husband. That was the essence of bride price, to state categorically clear that the man is now the owner of the woman, that he has acquired her like a property, though not like a property like material things, but this one as a special property. In the presence of everyone. Nanya mbadamba. You have to add this to your lexicon. In the presence of everyone, there will be blessings. There will be encouragements. There will be admonitions on how to keep their marriage tight and strong. They will make them to understand that marriage is not what you go in and go out anyhow. And if you do, you will have fatal consequences. The consequences may affect you directly or the children that will come in that marriage. So they will be admonished on how to live. They will be encouraged on how to live. That was a beautiful practice in Africa in olden days. And as I have said, some societies in Africa still maintain this practice. So after that, the woman in the presence of everyone will kneel before the man and bow her head. That was a practice before. Not this one now where they give drink. No. In the olden days, she will kneel in the presence of the man, before the man, and the man will place his two hands on her back. And blessings, prayers will be offered. In the presence of everyone, the family of the girl will bring out a native chalk or clay chalk as we call it, and will rub it all over the body of the girl, from her head to her toe. And the significance of that is to tell her to always calm down. When there is a crisis, when there is a quarrel, there is a problem with her husband. And they will give the same native chalk to the parents of the young man to rub on the feet of their son, on his palm, on his head. And that is to also tell him, young man, calm down, calm down. When your wife offends you, when there's a quarrel, calm down. Then after that, the girl will be accompanied to her husband's house by her people. The immediate family and the extended members of the family will accompany the girl to her husband's house. And that will be done in the night, not in the day. The essence of that is to make the girl to understand that if there's a quarrel, if there's any crisis between her and her husband, that she may not see, the way to come back. Everywhere will be darkness. She cannot come back. She will be groping in the dark to come back. And of course, she can't see any way to come back. So she will stay put in her husband's house, tolerate her husband, and stay with him. And for the man too, if there's any crisis, any quarrel with his wife, and he wants to send her back to her people, he will not find the way to send her back. Everywhere will be darkness. He will begin to grope to go to her people. No way. So he will stay with his wife and solve the problem with her. That was the essence of that.